And we have returned. You're listening to CSC Talk Radio. We have Daniel Holding. And Daniel, if you be patient, we're going to go to Joe real quick. Joe from Arkansas on Tucker Carlson. I need you to be quick because we got Daniel Holding. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I don't think this is in any way a kind of isolated incident or the spontaneous action of a mob like this. I think this is what the progressives, the left-wingers call a new stage of the struggle that they're always engaged in. They're always talking about the struggle. I think they've gone into a new stage of it. I think this kind of thing has been organized by from the highest parts of the Democrat Party, and they plan to do more and 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 more of it. I think they're out now to violently overthrow the existing government. I think they want to do away with the United States as we've known it, and they've gone into the phase of violent revolution. And we're going to see more and more and more of this kind of thing, and it will be aided and abetted by the Democrat governments, in which most of these incidents will take place. And I just think people should know there's not going to be any kind of return to normalcy or civility, I don't think, anytime soon. I think the Democrat Party is out to completely and violently disrupt the existing order of things in this country, and they want to grab absolute power by any means that they can.
I agree with you 100%, and that's why it bothered me so much that they took the House back. I think it's going to be devastating. I really, really do. So anyway, I thank you, Joe. And we do need to visit about, Joe has a spot on the All-American Market page with his art, and we want you to go there and look at that and click on the icon, and you'll go straight to his website and see his beautiful art. And we need to talk about that just a little bit. I'll give you a call next week because I'm kind of planning a special show with my All-American Market page, and I want to include you on that. Okay, Joe?
Sounds cool. Yeah,
all right.
Thanks so much for the spot on the marketplace.
Oh, you're most welcome. We have Daniel Turner Holding. Daniel, have we all gone insane? That's my question for today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's nice to be back.
Well, good. We've missed you. You've been gone. You stood me up 2 weeks in a row. I was going to cry if you stood me up today.
I'm so sorry about that, but I'm glad to be back now.
You missed our show yesterday, I'm certain, but we had the inventors, the creators of the Constitution Quest game on. And so once a month, we've been having trivia, Constitution trivia, and we did that yesterday. And again, that's the second time. We're going to do it again in December. And it's been a lot of fun. And I know I sent you that game, and so you need to get her out and get studied up. Maybe you could call in.
I have plans on playing it this Thanksgiving with the family, and I hope to dominate.
Oh yeah, there you go. Have you been studying?
I'm not cheating. I haven't been reading the questions in advance.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Just read the Constitution and you'll get it. It'll be fine. So, well, we've had a lot of stuff go on this week, and I don't know. I'm sure you just heard me. I was not one of those that was pleased with the election. I was pleased with what happened in the Senate. Now we're going to see all kinds of obstruction and craziness. This thing in Florida is going to get nuts, and they've had a federal judge attack the Keystone Pipeline. But you had some good news out of Colorado. Let's at least give some good news.
Yeah, we had good news in 5 states when it comes to green ballot initiatives. So I agree with you. It wasn't a total loss, but it was definitely not a win. And I don't think you ever win by losing. So losing the House, I do think was definitely a setback.
I do too.
As well as some governor's races. But,
yes.
Yeah, some of the green initiatives that were proposed by Mr. Steyer and company, they went down to tremendous defeat. Colorado lost by 16 points.
Yeah.
This was that setback on fracking. And so that was some good news that the people saw out-of-state money, they saw out-of-state influence, and they rejected it, and that's important.
Vitally important. I was reading a little bit about that in your article, and had they got that accomplished, that would have been devastating, job-wise and otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, tens of thousands of jobs, about $28 billion of Colorado's GDP. So absolutely, yeah, that would have been a devastating thing. And there are other places that were trying to push such crazy ballot initiatives as well. Arizona had an amendment to their constitution which required that 50% of its energy come from renewables by the year 2040. But to literally change the Constitution, that was funded 100% by Tom Steyer. And it also got destroyed because the people said, who is this guy from San Francisco coming into our state, spending $25 million telling us how to live our lives? So Tom Steyer did not have a successful Tuesday.
Well, that's good. We're not worried about his success. We're worried about making America great again. What do you know about the details on this Keystone Pipeline?
It is a temporary injunction, and it is frustrating because this has been a 6-year battle to get this pipeline up and running. I just wrote a piece for PowerTheFuture.com's website about this. It's difficult to see some of these green groups claiming victory because it's not a victory. It's a setback for American prosperity. It's a setback for American jobs. About 13,000 people are employed through the Keystone Pipeline, and now they are all being told that they're not getting paid, right? People need to remember that Obama was in favor of the Keystone Pipeline.
Yes, he was, until he became president.
His administration did its research and its studies and found that it was viable, that it was environmentally safe, etc. His State Department approved it. But then the 2012 elections came along, and Mitt Romney started to make some gains, and Obama suddenly reversed course and came out against it. So this has been a political football since 2010, and it's shameful.
And the executive action that President Donald Trump took place was a year ago. And so they waited. There's no doubt in my mind they waited to see what was going to happen in the elections before they did this.
Yeah, absolutely. And the good news is that it will work its way through the courts. And if it ultimately gets to the Supreme Court, it will turn out favorably. That explains why these green groups spend so much money opposing Brett Kavanaugh, because people would think, well, why is Sierra Club spending millions of dollars on ads opposing Brett Kavanaugh? And it's because they realize that their green agenda will be stopped at the courts. And the courts are their best option, right? That was the point of my article today on PowerTheFuture.com. What they cannot ever achieve legislatively or because of the will of the people, they will shove down our throats through the courts. That is why the courts are so important to the left, and that's why the Kavanaugh victory is so important.
You know, I had an article from a gentleman, and he has passed away, but he was a journalist, and he had written an article about being in a civil war. He said, "No, we're not shooting." He said, unless you count the attack on those the Republicans at a baseball field. He said, but they're doing it, and they're doing it through the courts. They're doing it through these federal judges that were appointed by President Barack Obama. And so I think they're feeling desperate and fear because it's going to collapse if President Donald Trump gets more nominees, and he has a lot of them to make. And,
yes.
So that's why the Supreme Court meant so much to them when they were losing that and they were ugly. And we're not, because of what happened this Tuesday on election, we're going to see more and more ugly. And it's already raising its ugly head, the dragon of the Democrats. I mean, it is just, we have to remember that the Democrat Party, they were the ones that were hanging people years ago. They're the ones that banned guns from certain groups, and they're the ones that didn't believe certain groups should be educated. And that's not changed really today. They're using the same groups that they were abusing before, and it just breaks my heart that people cannot see that. And so here they are being uncivil. They've promised they're going to continue to be uncivil until they take power. And they don't just mean the House. They mean the Senate, and they mean the President. And they mean the Supreme Court. They mean all of it. They're out to take it all.
Exactly. And you want to go full circle now back to the Constitution game, which you mentioned. Look at how the institutions of our government, when they do not control them, they want them abolished. We saw that with Hillary in 2016 when they said we should abolish the Electoral College.
They're still after that.
And you see a growing number of people saying that we should abolish the Senate because they don't control the Senate. There are famous people. Joy Reid, who's a commentator on MSNBC.
Yeah.
Joy Behar, the famous head of The View, who have said comments like, we don't control the Senate because of gerrymandering. How do you think they would do in the Constitution game if they think gerrymandering is the reason why they don't control the Senate, Beth?
Well, I'm pretty sure they don't know their Constitution. I call her Joy Bizarre because she's always saying bizarre things. And I hear music. Do you want to stick around? Have you been able to stick around today, or do you want to go? Need to go.
I would love to stick around. You know, I would always do, but I do have to go. But thanks for having me on. I'll see you next Friday.
You will. You will. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate all that you're doing and for informing us of some good news through this week, because I haven't seen much of it. This is Free for All Friday. We have a host of topics that I have thrown out there for you. The Caravan, Tucker Carlson's attack by Antifa, masked men, not heroes. We have the re-election lawsuit that's going on in, not re-election, the recount, in Florida. What do you think about that? There's so much that's affecting our lives. Have we all gone completely insane? 877-895-5410. That's 877-895-5410, and we will be right back.